Batman and Robin, issue 18, legacy number 84. Philip Kennedy Johnson writing with Miguel Medoncha and Javier Fernandez on the art.
And one page of who else? Dia Domenico.
Was it?
Gia Domenico, yeah.
Do you know what? It said that on Leah Comic Geeks, but his name wasn't on the cover, which I use to fact check sometimes when I think they may be wrong. But that makes sense if it's only one page.
I only know that because I looked at the title page because I was counting up to see how split the art was. Because on the title page, it has Fernandez is the majority of them. It's like 1 through 7, 10 to 11, 15, 18 to 19. And Medoncha has those other, but has the other numbers, except for Carmine Di Giandomenico, who's the artist for page 14. Which, again, checks out with the story that they're telling, that Giandomenico is playing those, when Bruce was in London.
Yeah, he's
all
in the
those years ago.
flashbacks, yeah.
Yeah, so I would say that the art is very well balanced, right? Like, Fernandez and Medoncha are both very complimentary. So, like, you don't get caught up too much on the art differences.
To be fair to it, I didn't really feel the changes. I'm sure if I'm looking for the changes, I can probably see them, but I did not feel them as I was reading the book. So,
because I definitely feel like Fernandez is doing the Bruce and Red Hood stuff, and the Medoncha's doing the Damien and the Doctor, or the Inspector, not the Doctor.
Yeah,
Lautrec. And so it is split very, very well.
Yeah, so Batman and Red Hood are, dealing with this gang war that's erupted because, Memento's kind of inspired it. So, they're fighting. We get a lot of action scenes with them, but really the meat of it is the conversation that they're having as they're fighting the bad guys. Because the topic of this issue is very much this idea of what it means to be a Robin and working for Batman, and specifically for Damian, like, does he have the choice to just quit if he wants to? And one of the things that Jason gets into later on, credit to Johnson for making me like a Jason issue of a book, but he talks about how, did Damian have a Harvey night? And Batman's like, what are you talking about? What's a Harvey night? And he's like, it's something that all the Robins and Batgirls have had at least once. It's an incident where it makes us think maybe we should quit. And obviously most of us didn't. We all stuck around. But like, and we know Damien's had that. Damien, the girl, right? Who got hurt. Like that was his Harvey night. And Batman's just learning about this for the first time, and like it's actually a really fascinating conversation, which plays nicely as Damien's talking to Lautrec, and Lautrec's basically posing a lot of these questions in her own way to Damien about, hey, do you like working with Batman? Do you feel like you're a kid, you should be off doing kid things, this, that, the other.
The fact that Bruce is taken so aback by the concept of the Harvey night is so funny to me. He's like, what do you mean you guys putting your lives in danger makes you feel like you can't do this? Like, he's just so disconnected from everything because he's Batman.
You've questioned the calling. I also like that Jason kind of at one point says, so, you investigated this Memento back in London. You never told us about that. Well, you probably told Dick. Dick's your favorite.
a little, yeah. That is middle child syndrome for sure.
Yeah, I got a little kick out of that.
Yeah,
and he didn't tell Damien because Damien basically learns it from Lautrec. We don't hear all of what he hears from her, but at the end of the book, when Damien walks in and says, "Hey, if she's not figured out that old Jack or young Jack, whatever your name was, grew up to be Batman, she's going to at some point," and it kind of feels like Damien's thrown it in his face that he's withheld from him. And he's figured a lot of this out. So yeah, I mean the art's gorgeous here early on during all the SWAT team stuff, because they get into the building with the gang war, and the SWAT team come in, and Batman does a whole scary, this is my city, leave, like no one needs to get killed here today. And there's a whole bit here actually where he's like, hey, I recognize the accent of that SWAT guy. You're new here, you've got a Metropolis accent. Everything you say got a little sing-song sound to it. This is my city. Blah blah blah. So fun Batman stuff.
I love that Philip Kennedy Johnson is putting that kind of stuff in there, right? Because we don't know how a Metropolis accent is supposed to sound, but to him, there's like a sing-songiness to it, and just for Batman to explain that, I love those little details.
Who's got a sing-song accent? I'm trying to think of like a place in the US that's got a sing-songy.
I don't know, but like, I'm trying to think because that Metropolis is effectively New York, right? So I'm trying to think. New York ones aren't usually sing-songy.
No. Well, this is the weird thing. Like, I know, like, I think both Gotham and Metropolis sometimes get assigned to New York. I think it makes more sense for Gotham, at least from the perspective of, like, if you think of 70s, 80s New York and how grungy it was, but also because I kind of think of Bloodhaven as New Jersey. So that kind of fits in my mind.
I mean, in canon, Gotham's supposed to be in New Jersey, right? Because New York still effectively exists, right?
Right.
You know, and also canonically, Metropolis is supposed to be in Delaware, which is weird.
That is weird,
you know? But yeah, anyways, Metropolis always seems to me like a mix of Chicago and New York.
Isn't Delaware on the West Coast?
No, Delaware's East Coast.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah.
What am I thinking of?
Delaware? The West Coast has three states. You got Washington. Maybe that's what you're confusing.
No, but like, I mean, I don't mean necessarily on the coast, but like just another layer in. What's in that side?
Yeah, Idaho, Utah, Nevada, Arizona.
Maybe I'm thinking of Utah. Maybe that's what I'm thinking of.
Yeah. No, definitely Delaware is not Utah.
Fair enough.
Yes. Anyways,
Metropolis, Delaware. They keep that to themselves. They never bring that up at all.
They do anymore. Like we don't talk about that as much.
That's actually a good question. What state is Gotham in? They never talk about this.
They never do. So, but yeah, canonically it's supposed to be New Jersey. That's what it was back in the Silver Age. Anyways, again, I look this stuff up like I look up the different teams for the DC. You know,
sure.
I got to know. But anyways,
it was a fun bit. Like regardless, it was a fun little bit.
Yeah. But yeah, him saying sing-songy and him being like, you don't belong here. This is above your level.
Minnesota, that's sing-songy.
Yeah, don't you know? Yeah.
Minnesota, maybe like a New Orleans accent's a bit sing-songy.
Yeah.
Very different sing-songy, but...
Yeah, but I mean, Metropolis is a melting pot, too. So, you know, they also have the aliens that end up there, right? That was a whole thing in different books. So...
Anyway, Damien's working with Lautrec, looking at Scarecrow's lab, and they basically deduced that someone was using Scarecrow's lab, but not necessarily Scarecrow himself. There's also a monkey there that's been experimented on that Damien takes to instantly and says he's got the same, or she's got the same symptoms as the victims at the previous location from before, from the drug. And Lautrec's like, wait, should you be like, you know, like that monkey could be contagious. Like, who knows what that's been like? Did you not see how 28 Days Later started? And he's like, it's fine. So yeah, these two scenes kind of go back and forward. So thematically, there's a lot of ties with the discussion of Damien, the discussion of being a Robin, what it means to be that, all that kind of stuff. But also some reveals about the backstory. So it finally confirms in this issue that their mentor, the detective that was training them back in England, was basically put away for the crimes of being Memento. Now, Batman always knew it wasn't really him, of course. In fact, so did she. In fact, she even says her motivation for catching Memento here is to clear the name of the man that trained her. But, you know, he was basically crazy after his encounter with Memento. He was raving, and because his apartment was filled of all these things that only the killer could have, presumably planted there by the real Memento, he got locked away and died soon after. So yeah, but that said though, Batman's still been pretty convinced that the real Memento has been dead, at least up until last issue. So that makes me think that there is more to the backstory where he thinks he sees the real Memento die. Yeah. So maybe we'll get more of that as well.
And on that page, there's a hint of Jack the Ripper here where it talks about the Whitechapel murders. So I'm wondering if there's going to be this thing where like this Memento is something that pops up every so often. It's like this mania kind of thing.
It's like that character from the X-Files who goes into hibernation, but every 33 years wakes up to kill like 5 people, kind of thing. Yeah. So that's what I'm feeling, that there's going to be ties there, because Bruce knows, because he saw Memento and the inspector, the professor, what's his name, Atticus Bly. He saw them together, right? So unless it was this big elaborate thing, they're not the same. Yeah. So whoever it is had enough power also to make him go crazy and to get him brought up on these charges. I mean, we've been seeing that Batman's been having hallucinations. Yeah. So maybe, like, you know, by getting close to Memento, he was seeing all this stuff. Whether it's because Memento has that ability, or it's just this drug that he's, you know, also been concocting with Scarecrow's lab. recently. The Black Orchid or whatever it was.
Yeah, it's Gravedigger's Poppy.
Gravedigger's Poppy, that's what it was. There
Yeah.
you go. So yeah, all that stuff was super interesting because that's the thing. Like the book's so much about Batman and Robin's relationship in both plots that it kind of like took a while. But when it got to that stuff and Lautrec started talking about it, I'm like, okay, this is actually quite exciting advancements in this backstory. So that's really cool. There is like a unknown person at the lab who like throws the shelving with all the stuff on it onto Lautrec, so she gets a little bit hurt. Damian gets her out, of course, but well, Batman is basically like he's still under the effects of whatever Memento's done to him or given him. He's so scared that he's about to lose Jason, right? And he has even this hallucination moment where he sees like a giant Memento holding Jason's dead body, but notably it's like the dead body of like when he died as Robin. So he's worried that he's going to lose Jason again. In fact, one of the details that I really liked after that is that when Jason's talking to Batman, he points out that, hey, my Harvey night isn't what you think it is. It's not the night Joker killed me. It was actually a random night where like someone who like was fallen to their death, who didn't die, we actually saved them. But the look of fear in their face just stuck with me so much that I almost quit at that point. And maybe if I had quit, maybe what happened later wouldn't have happened. And of course we have the big thing here where Damian goes to call Batman and he hears some of this conversation. And he hears the worst part where it sounds like Batman saying that he's not very... Even though he specifically says he's obviously amazing as Robin, but that's a secret. It's somehow this doctor seems to think he's amazing, which is suspicious because his test scores suck. So either he's working with the League of Assassins and he's working for the Al Ghuls, or there's something strange, there's a motive here. And that's the part that Damian hears. And then he doesn't hear the part afterwards where Batman says, Damian stands to be the best of us. Of course, that's the part Damian doesn't hear.
Misses out on, yeah. Very, very sitcom-y.
Yes, right? Yes. But
yeah, the whole thing is like, his test scores are mid. Like, that's part of his cover, right? But that's not the part that he's hearing. Is he's like, oh yeah, my dad thinks I suck, and there's no way this guy would show any interest in me otherwise, you know?
Yeah. But then he also says, but part of the reason why Batman insists that he's Robin is that, you know, when Damian came to Gotham, he came to find Batman for whatever reason at the time. Like, he thinks that the only connection he has to Damian is him being Robin and him being Batman. He says if he gives up the mask, I'll lose him. And which is funny because obviously in the previous issues, like the whole thing is Damian's been trying to connect with Thomas Wayne's like history and like what he's been doing. Right. So yeah, the issue ends with Damian grilling Batman a little bit for some of his past, but mainly to say that he's going to sign up for this program to work with the Doctor, Dr. Bashir. Bashir's a character in Deep Space Nine, but it's very close, which is why I said that. And then says, okay, we're going to help catch Memento, but after that, I'm not going to be Robin anymore. But I'm going to go do what Thomas Wayne did. And it's almost like he's, even if he's not doing it intentionally, he's saying, hey, I'm going to go do what my grandfather did, because I see more value in that at this point than what you're making me do as Batman. Now, obviously, I suspect he'll change his mind at the end of this arc for one reason or the other, but...
Although every Robin has this moment, too, where they want to be more than just Batman and Robin, right?
That's true, yeah.
So this is his moment for that he's like, well, I can do more good, but for now, right, I feel like he'll stay as Robin, but there is that part where he'll want to embrace the Wayne aspect of him, right? Because that's something that gets lost up there, is that the fight is always about Robin versus being an Al Ghul. It's never about Damian being a Wayne, which he also is.
Well, yeah,
so
which this makes it very fresh, this story, I think.
Yeah. So the fact that he wants to embrace his grandfather's legacy on Bruce's side, you know, and not be this crime fighter, to be someone that actually helps. I do like that wrinkle.
Yeah. I think that's very good. You know, as much as I had some misgivings in issue 1 of this arc, I think that it's really developed into something really good. It's been a really new exploration of Damian and his relationship to Bruce. And I think the way that this has to end, not so much the main plot with Memento, that I don't know where that's going exactly, but I feel like, you know, this has to be like Batman or Bruce has to open up to him and like kind of admit what he's scared of, or like admit some details that he's never told him before. This feels like it's almost like because Damien's actually his son, he's not getting to like ignore some things that he did with the others. Like with the others, they all had these Harvey nights and they got through them. But because Damien's his son, he has to actually kind of step up and like get over his usual like boundaries.
He has to learn to be a dad and not a leader.
Yes.
Yeah.
Even though he's effectively been a father to almost all the other ones. But that's
right. But he was viewing more of those as partnerships, right? That's why he's kind of sidetracked by the Harvey Knights. Or not sidetracked, he's taken aback by them. But what Damien he's taking it a little bit more seriously because that is, his blood son, So he's not thinking of him as a partner first. So again, Philip Kennedy Johnson's very good at these interpersonal relationships. We've seen that through his action run and then in War Journal, right?
It's a shame it's not higher in the Kindle rankings. I suspect that maybe unless you're Batman, Superman, Detective, or Action, or Wonder Woman, these long running books that are really high in the numbers, I feel like people weren't thinking, oh, a new arc or a new run starts at issue 14, I'm going to hop in here. I feel like the number's so low, they feel like, oh, well, if it was worth reading, it'd have been worth reading from the start, kind of thing. So I do wonder if that hurt it a little bit, but like this is better than anything Williamson was doing, for sure. It's not even a question to me. So
but yeah, this feels like it could also fit in Detective Comics, right? And with
of course it could.
The spirit of that book, right? But we happen to have Tom Taylor telling a detective story in there too. So, but yeah.
I mean, almost every other Bat book that isn't Batman or Detective could easily just be an arc in either Batman or Detective, typically. But but Batman sells well, so we got like 4 books. So so,
of course.
Here we are. All right, what were you rating Batman and Robin 18?
I'm gonna give this a 9. I really enjoyed this one.
Whoa, very high. I don't know if I'm going to go quite that high, but I did really like it, and I did like the exploration of Bruce and Damien's relationship. I am going to go with 8.5. That's my third 8.5, but damn if I'm not feeling it this week across these books.